There is a curious phenomenon that happens whenever people gather, especially when the people in question seem to be enjoying themselves. We see it at birthday parties, office happy hours, church potlucks, internet comment sections, and occasionally in the middle of someone telling what was, until that moment, a perfectly good joke. This phenomenon is called party pooper syndrome. We've all been there. The moment is universal. The room radiates warmth. People are laughing, engaging in healthy camaraderie. Maybe someone is telling a story that improves considerably with every retelling, as all good stories do. Someone else is halfway through a laugh that may or may not involve snorting. Then a voice comes from the edge of the circle. Well, actually, usually the temperature drops. Not enough for anyone to see their breath, but enough to halt the conversation in its tracks. Awkward silence follows. Maybe someone sighs, pinches the bridge of their nose. Someone else looks at their drink, scrying meaning from a margarita. Now, it must be said in fairness that the party pooper rarely believes they are pooping the party. Quite the opposite. In their own mind, they are performing a valuable public service by correcting an error, or restoring moral balance, or clarifying a detail, or reminding everyone that the world is not a place where we can simply go around enjoying ourselves. The act is, in the view of the pooper, a civic duty. Civic duty is a fine and noble thing in most circumstances, of course. Unfortunately, that level of civic duty was not invited to the neighborhood barbecue. And who wants some moral correction, a fact check, or a firm reprimand when they're trying to relax? The pooper, mostly inadvertently, sits down in the middle of the cake, leaving a butt impression where Steve's lovely retirement message had once been scrawled. Every community has a pooper. Sometimes you are the pooper. And poopers are not villains. But when there are multiple poopers, things become interesting. Interesting in the same way that Mariah Carey and Celine Dion can make things interesting by attempting to outsing each other. Eventually, they start to sound like crows screaming over the last Pop Tart. The party pooper has many forms and guises. There is the historian who interrupts a joke about Napoleon to explain that Napoleon was actually 5'6", which in the context of 18th century French measurement systems was not particularly short. And the thing about his penis in a jar, don't you dare laugh, total myth. There is the moral custodian who feels compelled to remind everyone that laughter is inappropriate, given the broader injustices of the world, like when no one in the group drinks fair trade coffee and therefore they are part of the problem. There is the technical consultant who would like everyone to know that the science in the movie you are discussing could never happen because gravity does not work that way. Who doesn't want to talk about gravity at Kevin Schmidt's bar mitzvah? None of these people believe they are ruining the fun. In fact, many of them believe they are improving the environment, and in a purely technical sense, they may be correct. Accuracy is good, moral reflection is good, scientific literacy is also good. But a party is not an article on JSTOR. You don't need to source your anecdote. A bibliography will not be required unless it's annotated with ribald jokes. The real puzzle, however, is not that these people exist. Human beings have always possessed a healthy enthusiasm for correcting one another, and civilization would collapse in short order if nobody ever pointed out that the nuclear reactor schematics are upside down. Rather, the puzzle is why someone feels the need to interrupt joy in the first place. To understand party pooper syndrome, it helps to imagine the social circle as exactly that, a circle. Inside the circle are the people laughing together, sharing context, sharing rhythm, and the quiet agreement that for the next few minutes nobody is required to submit the conversation for peer review. Now, imagine, if you will, you are standing just outside that circle. For you, the conversation could feel like some celebration-based Creole. Maybe it feels like everyone else understands something you do not, or worse, that you have not been invited to this gathering. If you are comfortably inside the group, the instinct is to guard the atmosphere. You add another joke, you extend the story, you contribute to the rhythm that keeps the laughter and merriment alive. If you feel outside the circle, the instinct may be to change the rules of the moment entirely. You may feel the urge to correct the joke, question the tone, introduce a subject that requires immediate seriousness, and preferably a small amount of moral authority. In doing so, you step into the circle, not by sharing the laughter, but by redirecting the conversation to a place where you feel more comfortable. None of this is usually conscious. Party poopers are not lurking in the corner plotting the downfall of fun. Party poopers are not lurking in the corner plotting the downfall of merriment. They may simply be experiencing discomfort when everyone else seems effortlessly connected, and discomfort, like laughter, is always looking for company. The modern world has made party pooper syndrome easier to observe. The internet is a remarkable machine for bringing people together, but it is also a place where social circles are just comment threads, and the subtle signals that tell us whether we are welcome or not are replaced by blanket assumptions of context. Someone posts a joke, and then someone announces why the joke doesn't work or why it shouldn't be told in the first place. Then a third person arrives to correct the correction. And by the end of the afternoon, the original joke has vanished entirely, leaving behind a philosophical debate about whether jokes should exist at all, possibly also sending the person who posted the joke into an existential spiral about their life choices. Maybe I'm not as funny as I think. Maybe I shouldn't be on this site at all. Maybe I should become a cloistered Gnostic monk. Maybe. The curious thing about party poopers is that they are rarely villains. More often than not, they are people searching, sometimes awkwardly, for a place in the conversation. The interruption is not always a full-scale napalm attack on joy. Sometimes it is simply the only way they think they will be included in the circle. A healthy community understands this, and not by surrendering every moment of laughter to an emergency closed hearing about tone, but by remembering that connection works better than correction, and that parties grow larger when the circle widens enough for another fleshy human. There is one caveat, of course. Do not be a raging asshole.